Hello, my friends. Hi there. Welcome. Monday, day after Mother's Day. I hope for you mothers out there, you had a wonderful day. I'm going to show you what my daughter, who's 14, gave me this Indian healing clay, but not for my face. She found on TikTok where she learns everything. You can use this with apple cider vinegar in your hair. And if you have curly hair, it kind of makes your curls a little more separated, I guess. So I did it last night and I had to share what it looks like. So anyway, so here is the results of my Mother's Day hair extravaganza. It was actually really fun. So if you have curly hair and you want to do something weird to it, just buy this stuff at the grocery store and put it in your hair and let it kind of dry. So I want to talk about a couple of things today. The first is I want to talk about my WordPress course. I have been getting my beta testers together. Here is the banner. Whoops, no, let's see. I'm going to put a link to it in the comments. So this hopefully will show up on Facebook and in the Facebook group and all those good places. In fact, I'm going to, let's see if it will show up. I'll put it in the Facebook group afterwards if it doesn't show up. Anyway, I have been getting amazing feedback on it with my beta testers. If you'd like to be a beta tester, please sign up because it's $49 right now. And I am going to be raising the price to $149. So sign up because I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to help you to go through it. It's like we get to go through it together. You get me as your coach. So really, if you want to get more comfortable with WordPress so that you know exactly what you're doing on the platform in terms of writing blog posts, in terms of doing SEO or doing keyword research, when it comes to figuring out what the goal of your posts are so that you can really turn your blog into a business. We get into all of that. And I step you through the Gutenberg editor and tell you really what you need to pay attention to and what you don't. WordPress is incredibly robust. Oh, you know what? I'm not even talking in through my mic. Here, David, will you make sure, David, can you check that I'm in my Facebook group? David's going to check to make sure it is recording. Anyway, I think it's good. It's based on some live workshops David and I have done in the past. And I've been able to synthesize it so that you at the end of this have a fully optimized blog post. And in the beginning, I will review your blog post. If you do it and you send it to me, I will happily go through it and give you feedback. So definitely think about signing up for the course. And in fact, here, this is what Sarah Britton from Beyond the Playroom wrote. She said, "This course is fantastic. This will save people literally countless hours." Definitely check it out. So I'm waiting to see if my podcast guest, Michaela Preston, shows up so that we can talk about her episode. But if she's not there, I'm going to start talking about it. So if you guys, let me know in a comment, by the way, if you have listened to my most recent episode. I've been interviewing a lot of experts in different things, whether it be Pinterest. In fact, next week, I have Elisa Meredith from Tailwind back on the show. We're talking about what's working in Pinterest. Or I've had people talk about SEO or talk about ads or talk about certain platforms or how to do memberships, how to grow a Facebook page. And what I realized is that I really wanted to reach out to bloggers today to talk about how they think about their businesses. So to mix in with the experts, actual bloggers who are growing their businesses right now as we speak, to say, how's it working for you? And Michaela was so helpful at sharing what her journey has been about. And what I really liked about our interview, and here we'll call up the podcast episode so that you have the link to it. Let's see. I will get that in here. She is an old school, like original gangster blogger, and she has been at this for a long time. And when you have been blogging for a while, what you do is you see things come and go. It's just the nature of the beast. The world is changing. Well, blogging is changing even faster. And the thing that I noticed about her, interviewing her, and I said this in the podcast, is I think that it is her ability to adapt, her ability to want to learn, her ability to want to try new things that has kept her in the game and made her successful. I know a lot of bloggers who say started with me over 10 years ago. And when things started to change, I could tell that they started to get really angry because Facebook wasn't working the way it had been, or behaviors of going to people's blogs and leaving comments. It just didn't happen that way anymore. And people got really upset because they had figured out a way to do stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like the rug had been pulled out from under them. And I will tell you that if you are in this long enough, you will feel that at some point in your blogging journey. So be prepared for that. I always say, hold on for the ride. It's a really great ride, but it is a ride and it has lots of ups and lots of downs. And I want to be super honest about that. It isn't just that it goes up, 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 or easy, or easiest, millionaire. It doesn't work like that. It's going to have its ups. It's going to have its downs. And the more you can be prepared for that, the better. But the qualities, what you can arm yourself with is the ability to be flexible, open, try new things, get close to your audience. Those are the real ways to stay in the game forever. And the thing that we talk about is that there are seasons to your blog depending on your family. So one thing that was really interesting, I posted in the Facebook group, and please leave a comment about this if this is interesting to you. I said, do you struggle with growing your blog and growing your family, having a family at the same time? So a lot of people in my Facebook group are mothers. And I thought it was really interesting because I got responses like immediately. Whenever I get a response immediately, I know I'm onto something. And a lot of the mothers, especially as Mother's Day was coming up, really talked about their struggles. So I'm going to record a podcast, a separate podcast, talking about my experience of raising my daughter with David, who is my partner, and what that's like. And as I've been working on this now her entire life, and the seasons of that journey, because as you know, my daughter's now 14, so I can look back and I can tell you that there are these different seasons. What is great about being a blogger or online entrepreneur is you end up with flexibility in your business so that you could be there at the end of the day at pickup, or you can take your daughter to ballet or whatever it is. You have flexibility. The downside is that you're in a lot of tension between working on your blog and wanting to grow it and wanting to be present for your children. And also times you don't want to be present for your kids and you really want to just put them in front of the TV or with the iPad. And then you feel guilty. The word that kept coming up that I thought was really interesting was guilt. So we're going to talk about that because I don't know a mother who doesn't feel guilty. And even though I thought I understood guilt before I had children or a child, you understand it in a whole new way once you become a parent. So let me know in a comment if that resonates with you, if you'd like me to record that. And so I will be recording it, but what you would want me to touch on or what you're struggling with that I can speak to directly. So in terms of Michaela, what I thought was really interesting is how she started. This is so true to so many bloggers, especially older bloggers that I have interviewed. How many of them started their blogs as an outlet, as a way to have something that was creative for themselves, or as a way to stay in touch with their families, as their as once you have a family and your own kids, you're not out in the world in the same way. You kind of turn inward and focus on your children. And so people started blogs just to keep their family abreast of what was going on, or to share recipes or parenting tips. So Michaela was sharing tips on how to live cleanly, how to not have toxic chemicals in your household, how to do this, especially as she had little kids, and she started doing research and she started blogging about it. And a book editor reached out to her, publishing company, I guess, and said, will you write a book about this? This was early in her journey. And so all of a sudden, boom, there she is with a hobby and a book and some little kids. And over time has started to realize that she could turn this into a business. And I think she started, I'd have to go back, but she started with putting ads on her site. And then brands started reaching out to her to work with her because she started to become an authority in clean living, especially for moms. And from there, this is usually the way that I think that for bloggers who don't really know that they want to turn this into a business, a lot of times the first step for monetizing is a brand reaches out to you. And especially back maybe 5 years ago, brands would reach out to you and say, hey, you want to, represent my product or do a blog post about it or an Instagram post about it. And that was really the first inkling of like, whoa, I could turn this into a business. And then typically people will put ads up on their site. Now, I would say wait to put ads up on your site and not to put Google AdSense on your site, to wait until you have more significant traffic where you can apply to an actual ad network like Mediavine, which now, by the way, is like 50,000 unique visitors. It used to be 25. So that's a little trickier. There are other ad networks like Ezoic, but we've got some questions about them as an ad network. So if you're thinking about Ezoic, please reach out to me. And there are some strange things that they do before you just put ads on your site. But I would recommend in the beginning, you think about growing your traffic and growing your community. And the way you do that is by picking a very, very specific niche and starting there. Over time, you can grow your niche, but it's a lot harder to have a broad niche and have to niche down than going the other way. And people will say, oh, but I'm going to feel too limited. And I say, if you want this to be a business, doesn't matter if you feel limited. Trust me, start in a very narrow niche. That way you can get to know your audience very intimately, know what they're struggling with, and then come up with solutions for those people in your audience where they will pay you ultimately for those solutions, or they will trust you as an authority in this very specific niche. If somebody, for example, ends up on your blog because you have a recipe and then they really love this recipe and you have a pop-up, let's say like Milo Tree or some other kind of pop-up that says, join my list. Like, you like this recipe, join my list. And then they join your list, but you also talk about a whole host of other topics that they might not be interested in. If you're emailing them about, say, parenting tips because you do recipes and parenting and other things, and they don't even have kids, they're going to go, this is a disconnect. It's not exactly the kind of problems I want to solve. But for example, if you have food allergies, a certain kind of food allergy, like you're lactose intolerant, let's say I'm lactose intolerant, and I come off of Pinterest to your site, and you've got this great dairy-free recipes, and I go, oh my God, and then I see something to join your list, and then you're going to send me dairy-free recipes. Like, you are my girl, like you or my guy, you understand me. You can solve my problem. And this is exactly why niching down is so valuable, because if I can attract the audience to me that has the same profile as what I'm writing about, how great. And where the disconnect comes is I'm writing about a whole host of things, but then I have all these different audiences that want different things from me. And how do I do that? And then I've got to be segmenting my audience and constantly polling them on what they want. And it is a lot easier to start with a very specific niche, to know your audience intimately. And then again, as I said, solve problems for them. And this is how brands then will know you're the person, because my brand fits with this type of blogger. You've got like less than a second to set yourself up so people go, oh, I know who she is. I know what she does or he does. That is how you got to be thinking about what your special sauce is, what you're putting out into the world. And I think that Michaela has done a really good job, because what she said is over time, she started fine-tuning her blog, making it more of a resource for moms, for people. And it is called Mindful Mama. And you go, I get it. Go to her website, you go to her homepage, and you know exactly what she is offering. You know that if you want to have a green home with not a lot of chemicals, she is your person. So think about, can you make that connection? Because that is how you will speed up your growth as you're growing your business. Now, you say to me, well, I'm just starting. Like, how do I know what my audience is struggling with? And I say, hang out in Facebook groups in your niche and be a fly on the wall and listen to the conversations, then chime in and be helpful in those conversations. So it's not for you to go, me, come to my blog, blah, blah, blah. It's for you to just be putting your expertise out there. And eventually, maybe you have a guide that speaks to somebody's question and you say, hey, can I send you my guide? But it's not for selling, it's for listening. That is really, I think, key to how today to really start growing your blog. Then you can start pulling in different income streams so that you can then do affiliate. Like, first thing I would always do is affiliate marketing. What other products can you promote where you can make an affiliate commission and you don't have to create them? This is also really great for courses or other things that people in your space have created. They're not your competitors. Go sell their products. Reach out to somebody who maybe has a course, on something that relates to your audience, and see if they have an affiliate program so that you can promote this to your course, to your audience. Then let's say your audience buys it. That would be a big sign to me that I might want to make a course somewhat similar. Again, not copying somebody else's course, but understanding that, wow, my audience is interested in this. How can I capitalize on that? So a lot of building a business on the internet is going step by step, piece by piece, and listening and interacting and asking questions. So for example, when I put that question up in my Facebook group and got that big response that moms in the group are struggling or they're trying to work it out, and immediately I messaged them back and said, should I make a podcast episode about it? And so many of them said yes. And I'm like, wow, I got traction. I don't know what that's going to turn into. I do know that as an online entrepreneur with a 14-year-old, I've been at this long enough that I feel like I can speak to my experience, and hopefully that will be beneficial to somebody else. And will that turn into a product, a course? I don't know, maybe nothing. But that's how you start to build your business piece by piece. So affiliate income in your niche. This is, again, why niching down is so valuable. 2, growing your traffic, putting out solutions, buying my WordPress course to figure out what kind of content to create, because creating content takes time. And the last thing you want to do is go create a great, beautiful blog post and nobody sees it. So how do you figure out what kind of content to create that will get eyeballs in front of it, that people are already searching for? I always say this. I think I said this last time. If you have a choice between being a trend setter or trend follower, what is the answer? What do I recommend? I recommend trend follower with your special sauce. Do not try to be a trend setter, because then you got to educate people to want what you're putting out there. If they're already searching for it and you can put your solution in front of them, oh my God, that's it. That's where you get that connection. Then eventually, maybe if you have, so you can move them in increments to a solution that they might not think they want. But I would say, don't start there. Start with something you know people want, but you have a unique way that you can offer that solution. Okay. So again, affiliates, ultimately, once you've grown traffic, ads, but I would not muck up your site and slow it down with ads that are making you no money. We work with bloggers all the time and we'll say, they'll have ads on their site. It's slowing down their page. It's mucking it up. And we say, how much money are you actually making with ads? And they will say, I make about $20 a month. And our first piece of advice, this is David, my husband and partner, and I, we say is take the ads off your site. It's not worth it for $20 a month. Therefore, make sure it is worth it before you put ads on your site. So the next thing is, if there are brands that connect with you, reaching out to those brands, predominantly on social media, like on Instagram, and maybe doing a story where you use their brands because they're listening and tagging them, and then reaching out to their social media people to say, I'd really like to work with you, and seeing if you can get some brand work. That's what I would do. There are also some brand network or some networks that put together content creators with brands, and we've had some success with that. However, I think if you can build the relationship with the brand directly, that's the first thing I would try. So that's another piece. And then eventually, but I want you to be thinking about this as you're building your business. What products can you sell to your audience that solve their problems? So Michaela was talking about how she is coming out with a course. She's very excited about it to teach mothers how to get the chemicals out of their houses, how to live more cleanly, more in harmony with the planet. And this is, she's been blogging for 10 years. So it's taken her this long to start to create that. But that is something where if you create a product, you own that product and you can sell it over and over again. Also, though, what I would recommend is thinking in terms of something smaller at the beginning. Is there a download you can create and sell? A PDF, something that solves somebody, an ebook, something, a printable, something that can solve somebody's problem. So these are all of the different pieces of building an online business. And I can't tell you which of these opportunities to go after first, but I've kind of laid out a plan of how I would approach it today if I were starting my blog. I would always be thinking in the back of my head, what products can I create? Because that's ultimately the differentiator. The bloggers that I know that are super successful sell products and services. Yes, they monetize with ads, and yes, they monetize with sponsored content, but the real gasoline for their businesses is products and services. And that can change over time. Like maybe they start with services and turn those into products, or vice versa. But that would be the thing that I'd always be thinking about. And the other thing is, I would not be thinking about my blog as being about me. I would always be thinking about it in terms of my audience and solving problems for my audience. It's not about me writing these glorious blog posts about my life. It is about me taking very specific questions somebody might have in my niche and writing really complete blog posts answering their questions. It sounds not as personal, but when you recognize that your job is to be of service, I think that's the hat that I recommend you put on as you build your business. So please reach out to me with any questions that you have about any of this. If you have questions about my course, my WordPress course, if you are a WordPress blogger, please reach out to me, message me, anything like that. If you're watching the replay of this, please say #replay so I know where you are coming from. And I want to say thank you for showing up on a Monday with me. I always really look forward to these. And I hope that what I have shared is helpful and gives you a framework for thinking about how to build out your business. And I'll be back here talking about the seasons of growing your business and what that really looks like, because there are definite seasons. So we'll talk about that more. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will be back here again this week, probably talking about WordPress. I'm going to see if I can ask Sarah to come on to a Facebook Live to talk about the WordPress course and what she liked about it and how I'm going to be building it out and all that good stuff. All right, take care. Bye-bye.